I carried you home, taking all the weight off your shoulders. Now we're long gone, falling into 1 year older. It's funny how our love began when I was sober. Now I stumble in a room where nobody else cares. Now I'm in two minds thinking about you. I'm in two minds thinking whether I'm too kind to give you all of my truth. I'm in two minds thinking. Now I'm in two minds thinking about you. I'm in two minds thinking whether I'm too kind to give you all of my truth. I'm in two minds thinking. We've been knocked down way too many times, and now my tries deja vu round, spinning me into another lost time. Tell me where this road will end before I drive over the edge. Give me one break to recover myself, because I can't bear. Now I'm in two minds thinking about you. I'm in two minds thinking whether I'm too kind to give you all of my truth. I'm in two minds thinking. Now I'm in two minds thinking about you. I'm in two minds thinking whether I'm too kind to give you all of my truth. I'm in two minds thinking.
Hello, hello, and welcome to Tier 2 Portimão short qualifying sprint race and 50% main feature race. 19 drivers on the grid today for this shootout. Who do you reckon will put it on pole? We've got a few new drivers making their first appearance today. We've got Mans Fattyberg, the Williams reserve driving in McLaren. You also have McKeenya making his return to Tier 2 after racing Tier 1, but having some technical issues causing him to have to step down into a tier. Let's see all of your guys' predictions for this Portimão race. Today I am joined by the one and only
Alex Fox Johnson.
And your mic is sounding not the best still, lad. It is popping.
Yeah. Let me just adjust that, or at least attempt to. Sorry about that. Is that any better?
That is better. We currently have 18 drivers while we wait for one of them to actually join the session. But it's going to be Elsom. We saw him reserving in Tier 1 earlier this week. Will he be able to perform?
That is a collision with McWilliams, either that or he's just spun. That might be a collision, actually.
We didn't quite catch that as we was watching Elsom go.
Yeah, it was on the exit of, was that turn 4? It looked like Skalski just tapped the rear of him and he went round. I'm not too sure about that one.
Has Marquinhos not... Marquinhos got Soybean's name. And so does. There's a couple of drivers with the wrong numbers.
Right.
One of them being Marquinhos, who's got number 25 on. No, Bean has the right number on. It is... Where is Marquinhos? Let's do full names quickly. Does everyone have the right name on? No. Wait, what? What? No, Marquinhos, by the looks of it, has Fattyberg's number.
This is a great start.
Marquinhos has number 75 on. And Fattyberg has Bean's number. Oh, my. So two of the reserves have the wrong numbers on. But anyway, it's Elsom that we need to follow with. Because Elsom is about to be... He's on his lap right now. Let's see what he can do. As Kizil was finally joined. Bringing us to the 19 drivers. But here we have Elsom now, rounding through Sector 2. Coming towards the final few corners of Sector 2 of turn 10 and 11. Tricky turn here. Very easy to invalidate.
Seems to have gone through quite nicely though. No issues as it seems. But it looks like Skalski's gone faster in Sector 2. According to the game, that is, so.
We're going to follow through though with Elsom because he's now coming up to finish his lap, and he sets the benchmark of a 1:17.8. And next up is going to be Skalski, who does go faster by 5 tenths. And now it will be Potts just behind. That's more than just a bit behind. And there's a yellow flag for... It looks like Skalski's gone very weird line there on the exit. McWilliams only P5 currently. As Binder puts it into P6 just behind.
I think it's Fantenberg across the line next. No, he's starting a lap. So it'll be Marco.
It's Vlad who we want to watch here though, because Vlad now coming towards the line. Vlad Rosu puts it only P6 behind Marco Mangano in P5. So Skalski holding an early lead.
Oh,
Bean puts it up into P1, just beating Skalski's time there.
that is a hell of a lap.
That is one hell of a lap. as currently Swan on lap. We're going to ride on board with Swan. Looks to be a little bit off the pace here though. Mate catches that apex nicely though. He's got a getting a bit of a wobble on through that corner as well though. And he's coming into the pits instead, so not push lap for Swan.
It will be Fantenberg across the line next, I believe. He's kept it tidy throughout the lap. He hasn't exactly pushed any limits, but he is not into the pits. He's across the line, and that is a P4 17.7. Not bad effort.
Running the wrong name, sadly, or wrong number. So there will be a penalty for Williams coming from due to this. Yeah, indeed. So currently with the wrong name is Mans Vattenberg. And the other one I believe is Marquinia. So Haas also going to be picking up a fine here. But currently the top three is Bean, Skowski, and then Potts. Currently though on a lap, it looks like Kiziel is on a lap. But further ahead, maybe take your attention to Huveniers. Still yet to set a lap as well. And both the Mercedes also yet to set a lap. So currently 5 cars yet to set a lap. 2 temps down on Bean's Sector 2 is Huveniers. Still, if he can find a bit of time, could still challenge for that top step in the qualifying.
Just has to keep it tidy through the final couple corners, especially through here. You can lose a lot of time with downforce and other factors.
P3. P3 for Huveniers. And next up to cross the line, it looks like it's either going to be Kiziel
who's
invalidated. So Kiziel will not be second at a time. It won't be.
It'll be Harris starting a lap.
Is Harris starting a lap?
Yep, he is indeed. Matthews is backed and he's gonna. He just invalidated on the final corner, which would have invalidated both of his laps. So it looks like it's going to be Rosu next across the line to start his lap. I think anyone else is on a lap. No.
So yeah, so it's going to be the Red Bull of Rosu, I believe, who is starting his lap. Seemingly being struck down here by the curse of the Red Bull. Your tier... I thought you was going to say something. That's my bad. So Rosu now starting his second lap. As Matthews sets a banker lap of a 1:31.
Again, he's kept it nice. Alex? I am okay, yeah.
You're very quiet. Rosu currently down 1.5 temps through Sector 1 on Soybean. Bean really having some absolute blinding pace out there.
Yeah, further behind, Rasmussen is just getting a nice little tow there from Kiziel, who has moved out of the way at the last second. But he's kept it nice and tidy through the hairpin and to the tricky turn 8.
Currently P6 for Rasmussen. Will be looking to definitely catch up and put his name back into the upper echelon. But here we have Rosu coming down the final few. He's only 2 temps down on Bean's time at the moment. Looking to climb up the order here. And Rosu driving towards the line now. Will go P4. 3 temps down on Bean, but it climbs up as Hugendorn disconnects again. And next up is going to be Rasmussen, currently P7, as we see he's cut away as Rossi spins. Rasmussen goes up to P4, dropping Rossi down to P5. As we caught the back end of Rossi's spin. And I believe it is Swan currently on lap now. We're going to ride on board with Swan.
My mic doesn't appear to be picking up any of my inputs for some reason. But yeah, Swan taking a lot of curb there. I would not expect people to take that much curb. Obviously,
very risky.
It is, yeah. It's a very tricky uphill left-hander. So when you're on the
tight left.
yeah.
He didn't take much curb on the tight left, where you probably want to take as much curb as possible to just open up the angle on the exit.
I mean, it's dependent on your driving style, I'd say. But
Skowski sets the fastest lap. Meanwhile, Skowski goes with a 1:17.2 now, starting to really pick up the pace here. There's a lot of traffic though in front of Will Swan, your Tier 3 champion, who's really set alight the track recently with stellar performances. As Matthews has run out of fuel, you can see him cutting over the infield there, making sure to keep out of everyone's way. But here we have Will Swan driving towards the line. Swan will be setting a P5 for Swan, a 1:17.5. So Swan putting his name right back up there as we look to see who's next to watch on a lap. It looks like there's a Ferrari, possibly of Hooveners. No, Hooveners is just starting his lap, so it'll be Marco Mangano coming into the pits, in fact. As Fattenberg, who is actually Marquinhos, goes P12. So Marquinhos with the name of Fattenberg.
I am struggling with my mic at the moment. I just think I'm going to have it close to my mouth.
Okay.
So, either you want to turn me down or or you don't.
But meanwhile, there's an Aston Martin coming across the line. I believe that is not McWilliams. That would be Elsom coming into the pit. I've been debated. But Fattenberg, who is using the number that Bean uses.
Deary me.
I know. Seems to be a little bit off the pace. There is a Ferrari though coming across the line, and it's Justin Hooveners goes fastest now of a 1:17.1.
Well, that is an Alpine starting his lap, I believe. Yep, that is. Who is that?
Is an Alpine starting his lap, you say?
Yeah,
so that can only be Hooveners, currently P16.
There's a lot of problems going on with my PC today. I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah, he's keeping it nice and tidy through all these corners so far. Through the hairpin especially, he opened up that corner quite nicely. It's this tricky section here, the uphill right-hander, very easy to spin. But he's kept it in a straight line. He's kept it facing the right way.
Oh, Harris has gone P4 meanwhile, going ahead of Potts.
It's not a bad effort from Harris there.
Oh, and Hugenor does a big spin, crashes through the advertising board. Gets a big moment out of turn 11, and that will be the end of his lap for sure.
Well, indeed.
So meanwhile, it's going to be
Matthews.
not Fattenberg. Matthews is starting a lap, but here we have Marquinhos, who is down off the pace and probably an in lap. But Bean, who is definitely on a lap. Rounding the final corner now, has gone purple sector 1 and sector 2. Soybean looking to go and reclaim that top spot, and it's just but it's a 1:17.00. That is rapid, absolutely rapid. As meanwhile, Elsom is on his out lap, so he'll be the next car to start a lap, I believe. As Matthews is on lap. You are correct.
Yep.
What can Matthews set?
I'm positively surprised with Bean, actually. He had a lot of pace in Imola, as we saw, and I was hoping he'd be able to carry that through to Portugal, which he apparently has done. And I think it's going to be interesting for the top 4 or 5 in that battle for pole. He does round the final corner up towards the line, straight as possible. DRS, he crosses the line, that's P12. That is 9.5 tenths off of Bean.
I think Binder, no, it's not Binder, it's Rosu who is on and he's starting his lap, I believe. Vlad's starting his lap now. We'll be looking to see if he can find a bit more time out there. As Harris is on his outlap. I believe McWilliams is on outlap, but Elsom is currently on lap, currently P11, but he's invalidated. Elsom has invalidated, so he will not be setting a lap here. Skowski on his outlap. And Mans Fattyberg in the McLaren with the Bean number on.
I believe Harris is starting a lap.
So we're going to switch to Alex Harris. Coming up to the first few corners now. Want to be opening up that steering angle as quickly as possible to carry as much speed through the section, and then it's a tricky right-hander. And then it's up to the first DRS straight now for Harris, getting a bit of a wobble on.
He has backed out of his lap.
In fact, giving that Williams car behind him a nice tow through that corner. Well, they both...
Not on a lap.
Ah, okay. They're both just trying to warm up their tyres then.
Yeah.
Oh, but it looks like there's yellow flags for oh, Vlad has gone P6. Vlad goes back ahead of Swan and Rasmussen there. But Rasmussen, who is also on a lap, only a minute 17 left in his session. So it's a very, very busy track right now. And
indeed,
Rasmussen invalidates.
Oh, no. He may be able to get in another lap if he gets a move on.
Possibly.
But it looks like McWilliams is also on a lap. I'm not sure who else is.
McWilliams is on a lap and he's currently 19th out of the 19 drivers. We'll be looking to see if he can find some pace here. It was a yellow sector 1 though for McWilliams, so really not enjoying Portimão by the looks of it.
I don't think a lot of drivers do. It has to be a track you really enjoy to be good at. But straight line now, up to the line, DRS, crosses it, it's only P16.
It is an improvement though, it does mean that he gets out ahead of a couple of the others, but Binder, currently P17, will be looking to make improvements here. And Binder is starting his lap now actually, I stand corrected, so Binder starting his lap now. McWilliams may, I don't think McWilliams has enough ERS to set a lap. Kizel is starting his lap further back as well. Is Rasmussen going to be able to set another lap? Rasmussen starts his lap. Kizel behind starting his lap. So both Hasses now starting their laps. Meanwhile, Ule only quick enough for P12. And Marquinhos is... So Fattenberg goes up to P4 there. So that's a very quick lap there for Fattenberg. It's now going to be... Potts coming over towards the line now. Can Potts find time? Was he starting his lap? No, Potts cannot find time, so it's not an improvement for Evan Potts as Monk gets a 5th place.
For a collision with Soybean.
Where's that happened?
That's
happened in the final few corners. Bean was up on his time as well. Bean won't be making an improvement. Monk also not improving. Oh, Bean's lost his whole front wing.
Oh.
I wonder what happened there. But meanwhile, it's Skowski. Skowski drives towards the line now. Skowski doesn't improve. It will now be Rasmussen. Currently P10 for Rasmussen.
Stays P10.
Stays P10. Kizel currently without setting a lap time. Goes into P13. And Hugendorn
be going into the pits.
So the only person who could be on lap is Ule, but Ule coming into the pits. So I believe that ends your
It looked like at the end that Ule was hindered a bit by Marquinhos AlphaTauri. I can't really tell, but from what I saw, he didn't seem to move out of the way when Ule approached.
But here is your driver's standings for this qualifying. But now we get ready for the sprint.
It's going to be interesting to see especially the top 10, I'd say, see them battling it out in a sprint as well. Obviously, it's a lot more high risk, a lot more high stakes than the actual race itself. Everybody's wanting to get as high as possible, ready for the main event. Of course, though, there has to be a balance with the driver's risk over reward, and if you go for risk, sometimes it cancels out reward.
But the drivers will be setting up their doing their final few preps. As we get ready to go, the lights are out and Bean will be leading us off here. Everyone other than Binder choosing the mediums. Binder gets a big start. Watch Binder at the back there for us, Alex, as we watch the front runners. Bean gets a monster start. Harris ahead of Skowski. Looks like not much space was given, but still very close. And now Fattigberg goes up into P4 as well, dropping Skowski down into P5. All in all, though, looks very clean.
I was just about to say everyone got along cleanly, but it's 3 wide into the hairpin for Monk and Kiziel.
Oh, and there's a Haas to spun, and it's Kiziel and Ule who've become tangled up there.
They are in the gravel. They are.
And Binder's had a moment as well there. Binder in P17 on the softs has had a moment on the spin, and Ule will go back past him. But back to the front, and it's going to be Soybean leading us away quite handily.
Oh, and that's Rasmussen. He spun round. He had a fairly good start, but he just ended up putting down the throttle a bit too early. And
So
ultimately, that's Monk and Hugendorn.
Everyone out here playing bumper cars today. As Soybean sets the fastest lap and is quite a commanding lead, but watch out because Hoovenes is under pressure here from Harris. Into turn 1 they go. But it will be Hoovenes holding off Harris. Skowski now looking for an attack up the inside of turn 3. A little bit of contact from the pairing, and into turn 4 they'll go.
Here comes Fattenberg.
Battenberg up the inside. Maybe a move on Harris as well. Pulls out of that, but we'll have to defend Skowski, who's on his outside. And Potts looks for a move now on Skowski as well. Skowski dropping down the order.
Still side by side, none of them want to yield into this tricky right-hander. They're going to have to be careful not to lose traction, or they could end up in the wall to the right there.
And Potts makes the move on Skowski. Skowski slots right in behind, maybe looking to make a move in this double right-hander. Up the inside of Potts. Potts will carry a lot more speed though, and it's now Swan on the attack on Skowski. Skowski dropping down the order here through Sector 2.
And he goes a bit wide. Swan's going to sneak up the inside, round into the outside here. They're still side by side, looking to get the throttle down as early as possible, but they're going to have to keep it clean through this tricky right-hander. And Skalski, a little bit of contact, but it looks like they managed to make it through cleanly enough. But
And
Swan
Rossi
is going to
behind
have... Swan is going to have the slipstream, but he's not using ERS, so he just does not go for a move into turn 1.
As Monk sets the fastest lap, running in clean air towards the back in P14 currently. And meanwhile, as you see, Skalski has got a train forming behind him. He's holding on to the back of Potts, though, who currently rides in P5.
And Marco on the inside of Vlad. There's a little bit of contact, but he managed to keep it cleanly enough.
He does indeed. Vlad under pressure. Currently your reigning champion under pressure from the guys around him.
They seem to be getting through alright. Most battles here are nice and clean. I've failed to see any major contact where I can point out whose fault it is. It looks like they're all respecting each other, and again, it goes back to that point, risk over reward.
At the moment, though, it is Soybean who leads by about a second with Hoovenier's P2. Harris right behind him, though. Harris seems to be coming with a lot more speed down this main straight than Hoovenier's has. Does Hoovenier's have the DS? No, he doesn't. And he's going to be under attack here from Harris. Harris looking to make a move up the inside. He squeezes him into the first corner, but Harris and Hoovenier's with the switchback on Harris. Hoovenier's defends off Harris, which is currently for P2. And that will be Fattenberg in P4. Potts right behind him in P5.
A lot of these cars here are nose to tail, especially with Alsom and Marco Mangano. And Marco is actually closing in on Vlad Rosu. But all of these just sitting in a train right behind Fantenberg. All of them from P4 down to P12 within a second of each other.
But Alsom picks up a 3 second. That is, with this train forming, that is not good to pick up a time penalty for track limits.
Not at all. He is going to drop down to about P12 with McWilliams just dropping off the back of Marquina there. Now 3 seconds behind.
Some of the guys here seemingly not enjoying this track, whereas others seem to be thriving, as Bean has really pulled away from the Ferrari of Hoovenier's. Meanwhile,
Harris
seems to be closer than last time as well. Harris maybe looking to make a move on this straight here. He's closing up to the back of him. Looks for a move on the outside this time. And it looks like Harris has made the move on Hoovenier's for P2 in this sprint race. Harris up into P2, and will he start to catch up to Bean, or will Harris have to now defend off the Hoovenier's behind him? Meanwhile, P4 and further back, you see, as Harris picks up a 3 second. Track
detrimental to him. He hasn't got a gap really to the cars behind. And that's Marco Mangano dropping down the order, with Rasmussen picking up a 3 second penalty.
Didn't quite see what happened to Mangano there, but Mangano's dropped down to P12 behind the AlphaTauri of I believe that is Marquinhos in P11.
But Skalski closing in on Potts. Those two had a little bit of a scuffle in turn 1, I believe it was. No, sorry, that was Potts and Fantenberg. They had a bit of a scuffle in turn 1. No contact was made. They kept it nice and clean. Obviously respecting the lines, but yeah, they seem to be quite close on pace.
And Fattenberg, though, is leading. The Williams reserve is currently leading out his Williams teammate.
And that is Fantenberg out of ERS. He's below 10%. And Potts is not that much better off either.
These guys are all pushing really hard, trying to stay ahead of the car behind, but want to make the move on the car ahead as well. And meanwhile, Bean is just cruising away from the guys ahead, or guys behind. Further back, McWilliams now coming under a bit of pressure from Monk. Monk, who's definitely got the pace over McWilliams, side by side now.
They've kept it nice and clean. No contact either.
And Monk moves up into P13 there, through turn 5.
Looking forward though, Skalski is right on the rear of Potts. He's only a couple tenths behind, whereas Potts is about 4 tenths behind Vandenberg in the McLaren.
And Vandenberg in P4 at the moment has quite the train still behind him of Potts, Skowski, Swan, and then it's the Red Bull of Rosu. Elson seems to have dropped a little bit off the back of Rosu, so the train is starting to split.
Skowski's going to use all of his ERS. It's going to be DRS. It's
They're
3
going to go
wide.
3 wide! Vandenberg falls foul to losing 2 positions in one straight. And Skowski, though, runs a little bit wide. Potts back up the inside of Skowski. This is for P4. This is for 5 points in this sprint race. And Potts seems to be through. Skowski will now be under threat from Vandenberg and Swan behind.
And that is Matthews and Markina just behind going side by side. But Potts and Skowski tussling away.
Markina losing 2 positions. Markina dropping down into P12. And meanwhile, Potts and Skowski are still battling it out.
Skowski almost had a double overtake there, but he just couldn't keep it into turn 1. He went a bit deep, had to run wide, and through went Potts with the switchback. But Skowski is going to be looking to get a better exit out of that tricky downhill corner, and hopefully be closer in the DRS to blast past Potts with ERS and DRS, of which Potts seems to have less than Skowski, although not by much.
Harris is starting to close in on Bean and dropping off Houveniers on the back there. If you look into the distance, you can see Harris is closing in. Oh, Skowski, though, looking to make a move now on Potts down this long straight, and Skowski up into P4. Potts drops back down into P5. Let's have a look at the big gainers and losers. So currently Harris is up 2, but does have a 3-second penalty. Matthews has gained 5 places, and Rasmussen lost 9 places with that spin. Monk also up 4 places, along with McWilliams and Marquinhos, though. As meanwhile, Harris seems to have gotten himself into DRS of Bean. Looking very close here for the race lead now.
Yeah, these two are very closely matched on pace. But at the moment, it seems that Harris is dealing a bit better with his tyre wear. At this later stage, and that's Binder in the gravel on the exit of the hairpin. He just didn't have enough traction out of that corner, and it looks like he's ended up in the wall. I can't see.
This sprint race is not one to remember for Binder. Binder's tyres may be shot here. Let's have a look at how his tyres are doing. And his tyres are almost at 50% already on them softs. But back to the race lead, because it's going to be Bean leading us out here. His tyres looking relatively healthy, but his rear light is flashing. Harris will be looking to close up into him. And Harris has definitely found some speed, although with that 3-second penalty, he has to get past Bean and then proceed to gap him, which I don't think he has the capabilities of doing. But his medium's looking a lot fresher than Bean's.
Yeah, he does have to take into account that if he does close up to the back of Bean within the next 2 laps, he cannot battle him too much, because with that 3 seconds, he may lose out to Houveniers just behind.
He might want to... I don't know how close is Houveniers to the back of him.
He's 3.1 behind Harris currently, but if he closes up to Bean and battles him, he's going to lose time, which means that he's going to lose out P2.
And if the train of Skowski and further below were to catch up as well, it could be detrimental for Harris. He would fall right back down the order.
He would indeed. And speaking of that train, it looks like Swan is the closest to any other driver, only 3 tenths behind Vandenberg currently.
His teammate for this race, though, will be interesting if a move is made or not.
I'm not sure at this point in the race there is going to be any move, but that is Skowski weaving to the right side of the track to try and break that toe from Potts, who is currently out of ERS. But so is Vandenberg, so is Skowski. It seems that Swan's the only one with any form of ERS in that entire train. Vandenberg almost hitting the back of Potts there, very close between those two.
But meanwhile, back to the front, and Harris has gained right up to the back now of Bean. Harris will maybe be thinking about making a move here on this straight with 1 lap to go. And
well, he's going to...
who it is losing pace. And meanwhile, it's going to be Marquinhos seemed to have made a move on Matthews for P11. Matthews has lost 2 places, maybe having a moment there as we ride with Mangano. And further back there, we have Marquinhos just ahead of Matthews now. But we take your attention back to this race for first place. Because all it takes is Soybean to actually pick up a 3-second penalty. And then it falls right back into Harris's hands. Harris, is he within the DRS though? Let's ride on board and find out.
It looks like he is.
He is, but Bean got a much better drive at that final corner. Bean definitely has the straight line speed over Harris here.
Yeah, just a bit further behind, that is Vandenberg. Side by side with Potts into turn 1. Those two very, very close with Potts just sneaking ahead. Vandenberg getting a bit of oversteer and not managing to keep his nose in with Potts. But don't forget, he is going to have DRS down this next straight, and Potts is not. Potts does get a better exit, and that's Ule spinning and flying down the order.
Swan eyeing up a move on his teammate as well here. So Swan will be wanting to gain positions, and this is going to be very important for the Drivers' Championship, to which you see Harris and Bean really pulling away from the rest of the field right now.
Exactly, and Harris is only within 4/10 of Bean, and he does have more ERS. If I was Harris, I'd be trying to close up for this final straight and see if I could sneak in a move at the final point. But again, with that 3 seconds, there's not much point in doing that.
But meanwhile, it's going to be Soybean coming to take the checkered flag of this sprint race, with Harris right behind him. Soybean is your race winner in this sprint. Harris will be P2. Hooven is P3. But it's now a battle for P5, and it will be Swan coming ahead of Fattenberg and Swan.
Swan coming ahead of Vandenberg and Swan. Do you mean Potts?
I meant Potts.
But yeah, it was just Rosu rounding out the final points position there in P8. A very thrilling race from all of them, actually. Keeping it nice and tight throughout.
But there we have your standings for this sprint race. Soybean taking it home in first. Harris, who was right behind him on the track, but that 3-second time penalty really losing out there.
Yeah, it looks like he did. It wasn't the best of races for him. I think could have been a bit better, but ultimately a good effort.
And it's quite overcast now. Overcast for this race. Could we expect to see some rain?
Possibly. If there is going to be any rain, I would probably expect it towards the middle or the end of the race. Because if it's going to rain at the start, it's usually raining off the line.
It is. It's just very cloudy.
Indeed. It may, I mean, who knows, it may clear up after a couple laps, or it may start raining. Only time will tell.
Meanwhile, the drivers just doing their final few checks. Will be racing in about 15 seconds. Expect to see maybe a bit of chaos into turn 1. 33 laps now around Spain. Not Spain, Portugal. It was meant to be Spain when we changed it to Portimão.
I don't know why you do that. But so far it is giving us a thrilling race.
It is indeed. And here we go. The lights are out and the drivers Get ready to go. Marquinhos jumps the start there, though. So he will be having a drive-through. And Harris gets a monster start on the mediums compared to Bean on the hards. Juvenil also on the mediums. Bean has chosen to go on the hards, and he's being gobbled up by the medium runners around him. Meanwhile, further around, you see... That's
McWilliams spun at the back, and Monk dropping down the order with Alsom just getting a little tap. And that is Matthews and Ule coming together once again.
And Juvenil and Harris are battling side by side. Harris just about defending off. Juvenil is trying to make a charge up the field here. Harris with a monster start though, up into P1. Bean missing it, losing out in 2 places. Let's have a look what the weather report is saying. It's just suddenly saying it's overcast, no expecting rain currently according to our data.
Swan up the inside of Potstay, didn't quite make the move, but it was a nice little lunge. Very high risk, but he didn't gain anything out of it ultimately.
Potts on the hard, Swan on the mediums. The medium runners will want to get past the hard run as soon as possible.
Will indeed.
Yes! 2-1! I mean...
yeah, wrong sport, Luke.
Harris, though, setting the fastest lap. Is the first car around.
And that is Alsom, I believe. That is Alsom in the gravel at the final turn. Big moment for him.
He's parked it in the gravel as well. It looks like he's a bit stuck. Alsom isn't moving. As Ule and Marquinhos both come into the pits, but Alsom isn't moving.
And that is Skalski! He's dropped down the order!
Skalski down into P14 there. As meanwhile, you see Bean under pressure now from Vattenberg. As it says Bean and Bean, but it's actually Bean and Vattenberg.
It's just a yellow flag for Ule, who's going slowly out the pits for some reason. I'm not too sure why. But yeah, that is Alsom disqualified from the session for parking in a dangerous location. I think he may have had problems with his wheel or pedals possibly.
So it's going to be the 2 medium runners pulling away now from the hard runner of Bean. This weather, the colder weather, surely suiting the mediums a little bit better than the hard tyre as well. Harder to warm up that hard tyre as we see Vattenberg looking to maybe make a move here on Bean. No DRS just yet. DRS will be enabled.
It's very close for Rasmussen and Binder as well. Binder making his way up to P11 from P19. Brilliant start from him. Just keeping out of trouble and ultimately winning those positions when others didn't. And that is some sunbeams starting to break through the cloud as well. And that's Monk, he's spun round!
Drunky Monkey has returned. Picked up the bottle once again after his win in Imola. Too much champagne.
And Monk and Matthews going side by side. Monk got very deep, nearly taking off Matthews' wing in the process, but he did not.
I'm going to hand you over to the battle for first place because I need to get a drink because hydrates have been given. I'll be one moment. Alex, talk us through this battle for first place as it's Harris and Juvenil.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah, Juvenil very close to Harris now. Gain about 3 or 4 tenths. He's looking to get a good exit, which he does. Harris does not. He struggles a bit with traction, but Juvenil is using more ERS than Harris, with Juvenil having DRS, of course. He's looking to close up that gap down this next straight. But Harris, he just seems to have a bit more straight line speed than Juvenil. But I think that's why we see Juvenil gain through the second sector and the third sector a bit more, because it is high speed corners. But just keeping it nice and tidy now for Juvenil. Doesn't want to make any mistakes. He's already got a gap to Bean. He's going to want to keep that gap between him and Bean, so he can freely battle with Harris without having to worry about the AlphaTauri joining in on that. But again, dropping down a bit, dropping back a bit from Harris. Harris just gaining through the first and start the second sector. I think high wings may be a contributor to that. With Juvenil seeming to struggle a bit through the lower speeds, and again losing out 3 or 4 tenths. Harris is not using any ERS, neither is Juvenes, but Juvenes is going to be out of ERS, 1.1 tenths behind. He's 1.2, 1.3. He's just got a bad exit out of there, and Harris has just pulled away, and he's keeping that gap. He's deploying ERS. He sets the fastest lap at 119.8. That is
Bean's hard seems to have come to life because Juvenes is starting to drop off the back of Harris and actually falling into the clasps of Bean, as we see Mangano is ahead of Potts now. What happened to Potts? He seems to have dropped off the order a little bit.
He doesn't. Rasmussen side by side with Skalski there. Skalski just barging his way through. These two obviously battling in the past and keeping it nice and clean throughout. They seem to be doing the same here, and Rasmussen just gets a massive snap of oversteer, catching it at the perfect time.
So Rasmussen down in P13, Skalski in P12, but back to the Bean now under pressure. He has 2 McLarens behind him, both on the medium tyre as well. So let's see what he's able to do. Bean will have to defend for his life now. He won't have DRS to help him here either.
Yeah, those 2 papaya cars are going to be hungry to get past. They're going to want to get out of that dirty air and try and pull a gap to Bean and the rest of the hard runners, which they seem to be doing well with Potts and downwards, but they just need to get past Bean and do the exact same thing. If I was in McLaren's shoes right now, I would be saying to Vandenberg, get past Bean, hold him up a bit so that Swan can also sneak his way past.
Oh, don't tell me it's 2-2 now. I've just missed this. Oh, no.
Whoa, Vandenberg just gets a bit of oversteer again. And Skalski on a charge, getting past Binder. His pace really showing in this midfield here. He's up to P11 after that incident, dropping him down to P14.
Oh, it's 2-2. Ah! So here we have Skalski now eyeing up Kizyul. This is for points as well. This is for P10. The hard runners. Bean definitely showing that he's got a little bit more pace on them hards than the rest of the hard runners. As you see, it's medium, hard of Bean. Then it's medium. And then it's the rest of the hards, then separated by McWilliams and Matthews, who have definitely both had incidents here. But Harris, though, pulling away.
I was just about to say those McLarens can't seem to make any inroads into the gap between them and Bean. It looks like Swan is again like it during the race. He's conserving his ERS. He's waiting for the 2 ahead to battle it out.
Skalski eyeing up Kizyul. Kizyul defends tight on the inside through that penultimate corner. Skalski taking a much wider line, looking to get
that's a yellow flag. Who's that?
That's McWilliams.
That's McWilliams.
And meanwhile, Skalski on this main straight is at 3 laps, and that's 3 places. Skalski up into P10, gets past Kizyul, will now be making a charge up onto Hugendorn, and McWilliams is having another moment. Is back into that gravel, which claimed his teammate already.
Yeah,
and Rasmussen's off!
He's off!
Rasmussen has gone off in turn 3.
He's going to be hindering Matthews now, actually. A bit side by side for these two. Matthews the outside with Rasmussen defending the inside. They're still side by side.
Oh, Matthews gets a better drive on the exit. And Matthews will be past Rasmussen.
Matthews on those medium tyres though. He's going to have more grip. But Rasmussen's struggling nonetheless, with Monk just eyeing up the 2 of them behind, with Matthews having the most amount of ERS of the 3.
But meanwhile, it seems like it's an equal playing field now, as Bean has definitely got them hards.
Fired up. He's pulled a second gap to Vandenberg, who still has DRS, but doesn't seem to be making any inroads.
Again, how long is the question?
He's dropped out of a second once again. He's not going to have DRS, I don't think, down this next straight. If he does, he'll be very lucky he doesn't.
Further back, Skowski all over the back of Hugendorn is really putting the pressure on, forcing drivers to take much more defensive lines, getting better drives out of corners, and now be eyeing up Hugendorn, maybe into turn 5 here, thinks about it for a second, but doesn't make the move. Instead, just sits behind him, but he's very close, and it's Swan who probably looking for a move on Vandenberg before Marco Mangano can catch up to the back of them.
Yeah, looks like Vandenberg's just dropped off the back of Bean. Managing to get those hard tyres working, and he's looking to gain on Hooveneers now.
And Hooveneers is holding pace with Harris though.
He is indeed. I think not too many laps from now we'll start to see the hards perform a bit better than the mediums, and I think this is where we're going to see Swan get past his teammate. He's deploying his ERS, he's using his DRS to his advantage, he's closing in.
We're going to ride on board here with Swan.
He's going to switch to the outside, he's got past into turn 1 with Vandenberg just letting him past. I think Swan just has a little bit more pace than his teammate at this stage in the race, and that's Skowski past Hugendorn.
Skowski is on a charge, looking to recover his race now after a disastrous start. He's really charging back up the field.
He is indeed. I'm very, very impressed with Matthews getting a 3-second time penalty, the first of the field. That is not going to help him with his battle with Monk and Rasmussen. But he seems to be holding up all right at the moment, with Monk just all over the back of Rasmussen there into turn 1. Not quite managing to get past.
Currently riding on board the Ferrari of Marco Mangano. Currently only 6% battery left. We'd see him eyeing up the pair of McLarens in front. He's been staring at them for a while, but he's definitely closing in to the back of them.
Yeah, he seems to be. I think he just has a bit more pace through the middle sector compared to the two McLarens. But Swan already pulling a 5/10 gap to his teammate. That may be dirty air contributing to that, but again, if I was the two McLarens, I'd be wanting to slingshot each other. That is a concept where you simply use each other's DRS to gain on the car ahead of you.
And they're going to need to, because being on the hard tyres, his tyres will have longer life than the guys around.
Bit further back though, that's Rasmussen all over the back of Matthews. He's side by side into turn 1. Monk looking to get past the two of them. Very, very close for all three of them. And Monk on the inside! He makes contact with Rasmussen. Vandenberg gets a 3-second with Monk just getting a bit of oversteer.
He lost wing as well. Monk got damage as well.
He got damage.
He got damage. And he makes a dive up the inside of Matthews. That's a bit naughty from Monk there.
I wasn't watching, I wouldn't be able to tell you. All I know is that Vandenberg has dropped behind Marco Mangano. And he's further behind now, and Monk has lost out massively to Matthews and Rasmussen.
Monk made an absolute cynical dive bomb on Matthews. He was
going to be happy with that one.
It was a bit naughty. I think he has given the position back since, but both of them losing time to Rasmussen in front.
I'm just keeping an eye on Skowski at the moment. He's very, very pacey here during the race. He's on pace with Harris.
That has a 3-second penalty, actually.
He does indeed, and it looks like Skowski is just gaining on Vlad and Potts ahead of him.
As meanwhile, Kiziel, if it would let me switch to Kiziel. Game not letting me switch to Kiziel, so we're going to switch to Hugendorn instead. Kiziel is closing up onto the back of Hugendorn here. It won't be long before maybe we see the Haas make a move on the Alpine here, as the gap between first and second seems to have stayed about the same. Bean not making many inroads, but he's pulling away from the McLarens behind.
Yeah, Monk coming out of the pits now. He drops behind Ule. He's opted for the medium tyres.
Will they last 22 laps? I don't think they will.
I highly doubt they will, unless he drives 5 miles an hour around each corner.
I'm going to quickly check, because Vandenberg falling down the order here seems to be losing some pace as well. I wonder if his tyres are shot, and he doesn't have his telemetry on. So we don't know Fattenberg's.
So he hasn't got his number and he hasn't got his telemetry on.
Oh no.
Oh, and who's that? That's
Drunky Monkey!
Drunky Monkey again! He's back!
He is back!
And with vengeance!
He's been having too much of that champagne for celebrating his race win. And is coming into almost being lapped territory now.
I think the Williams team principal really needs to discipline Monk with his levels of drinking. Unless this is one of his masterclass strategies again, like we saw at Imola.
We see Mangano, though, is fast approaching the back of Swan now. Although rear flashing, and his tyres definitely going to be starting to feel it. He's almost at 50% on that rear left. That rear left is definitely going to start to feel it. As meanwhile, Swan, his tyres also in the same sort of window as Mangano.
Yeah, I've just been watching Bean as well. He's sneakily making his way closer to Hooveners. Those hards really working for him at this point in the race. He also has a bit more ERS than Hooveners. With 12 laps on both the mediums and the hards are going to be better at this stage.
Very true, but I wonder how Harris, we saw in the sprint race, his tyres was so much fresher than the other medium drivers. I wonder if he's been looking after his tyres today, and he's about 5% less tyre wear than the other guys around him. As you see, Hooveners, though, is catching up to the back of Harris here, being pushed on by Bean as well. So these three, and Bean has the medium stint to do, while the others still have the hard stint.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with Harris and Hooveners not being able to pull a gap to Bean, I don't think we're going to see them capitalize on this win. I think it's actually going to be Bean that's going to be taking this, because he is on the alternate strategy, and at the moment that strategy is better. But he's very close to Hooveners now, only 1.1 seconds behind. He is not going to manage DRS on this next straight, but maybe we will see it into onto the second DRS straight.
And Hooveners' rear is flashing. That will be another reason for Bean to be chomping at the bit and catching him up.
Yeah, and it looks like Potts is also gaining on Fantenberg, and Fantenberg all over the back of Marco Mangano.
Potts' hards are quite worn though. Potts is wearing them hards very vigorously. He's got more wear on his hards than Harris has on his mediums currently.
That's not good.
That isn't good, as we see Matthews coming into the pits in the Mercedes. Let's see what sort of time he can set. He's switching onto the hard tyre now. It's a 2.2 for Matthews. And Matthews now will be heading out, possibly ahead of Ulay, but will lose a position to McWilliams here. McWilliams still to pit though, offer their mediums onto hard tyres as well himself. As we see, Swan now is having a bit of a quiet race, no one around him. And then Mangano, who is past Fattenberg, but still not in a position to make a move.
May I turn your attention to Bean? He is 0.67 seconds behind Hooveners, which means he's going to have DRS. He's got a bit more ERS. And Drunky Monkey once again with a penalty. Not the best of races for him. A race to forget. And that is Fantenberg into the pits.
Let's hope Monk doesn't choose to drink to forget.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's quite amusing, but for Williams, it's not the best.
No, it isn't the best news for Williams as things stand. Although Potts currently running in P6 on the hard tyre, in touching distance of the medium guys around him. So do not rule Potts out for a sneaky podium, possibly.
Look at Skalski, he's right on the back of that much. In not too many laps, he's gone from about a 1.9 second gap to a 3/10 gap.
And it's really putting the pressure on Rossi. Rossi's rear flashing, Skalski's isn't. We'll ride on board with Skalski through Sector 2 here. And let's see what Skalski can do. He's all over the rear of Vlad. Maybe thinking about a move into that turn. Thinks better of it though.
He's just being smart about it. He knows he's going to have DRS down this next straight. He's within that 1 second. And he also knows he has more ERS than Rose ahead of him.
Don't rule Skalski out for a move possibly later on the guys who are currently coming into pits. There's Hooven's pits now, and so does Swan.
Skalski's looking to get past Rose, so he's using ERS. He just blasts past.
And that'll be Skalski up into P5 now, with the two guys coming into the pits.
I'm interested to see if Hooven's is going to come out ahead of Binder and Rasmussen behind.
Swan
very close.
And how much time has Vattenberg lost to Swan is the question. Vattenberg weaving on the straight, currently no one around him. So trying to get a little bit more heat into them hards. Them hards are no struggle around the first lap here. But Hooven's looks to have got out ahead. But he's on cold hards, and the guys behind will be on much warmer hards as Rasmussen makes a move. On the move on Binder is side by side, and Rasmussen up past Binder, and Hooven's will now be being chased by a much, although more worn, a lot more up to temperature hard tyre of Rasmussen.
I'm interested to see when Harris is going to pit. If I were him, I'd be pitting this lap so he doesn't lose out too much, and he's into the pits.
You literally called it on the nose. He doesn't speed into the pits, so Bean will now be your race leader. On the hard tyre, he's on an alternate strategy to the other guys though. Will it pay off?
Marco Mangano also into the pits. Very, very smart from Harris and Marco. Although I would have pitted maybe a lap earlier if I were them.
I think the thing to watch here is how much of the gap is Skalski going to be able to bring down on Potts. It's going to be very important. And
on top of that, how far behind Hooven is Marco Mangano going to be?
Mangano was racing the McLarens actually. So where will he be out compared to the McLarens? And he seems to be ahead of Swan. Swan though, with the more speed through that corner, will get ahead of Marco, but it's a lot closer than before. The overcut has played into favour here as Hooven picks up a 3-second penalty. As Rasmussen has got past him.
He has indeed, but Harris has just got... He's got a massive gap to Hooven behind.
And he has a lot of clean air in front as well. This could be Harris's race to lose, but don't rule out Bean as Matthews picks up a 3-second penalty as well.
That's 6 seconds for Matthews. If Harris gets a penalty, that could be his race over. Of course, so Harris is going to have the fresher hards than Soybean, so he may be able to just sneak past him during the pit window.
And Soybean picks up a 3-second penalty!
That's detrimental! He's going to have to get past Harris and past Hooven by the looks of it, and still be able to pull a 3-second gap.
Will the mediums be able to do it?
I'm not sure they will, with Vandenberg all over the back of Marco Mangano. He's using DRS, he's not using ERS. I think he just wants to save that, but he's passed not fully into turn one. And that is
yellow flags for Kizio.
That's Kizio. He's going to have to be careful with the cars behind, as he's going to be going a lot slower than Rasmussen and Hooven Yet the two Hasses are still yet to pit.
Kizio running very wide there as well. Has Kizio got damage possibly? It doesn't look like it. But again, that's a disaster for Kizio's race, as he was racing right alongside with Hugendorn. I wonder if there's any contact possibly. But now this is really bad for Hooven as he now has two Hasses who have yet to stop in front of him on his fresh hards. He will be definitely being slowed up compared to Harris. And Bean's into the pits. Bean is into the pits. Let's see where he comes out compared to Alex Harris. Harris currently in P6 with the hard runners. All the hards seemingly all coming into the pits now. Other than Vlad. Vlad will be taking the race lead here around Portimão. So Vlad is now your race leader. Hugendorn even as well into the pits. But now watch where Harris is compared to Bean. It's going to be very close between the pair of them. Harris is ahead, but by how much? And how much will Bean be able to catch back up on their mediums?
Bean doesn't seem to have lost out too much, but don't forget that 3-second penalty that Bean has. If I was Bean, I'd be praying to all the gods that I know for Harris to get a 3-second penalty, but he is 3 seconds behind.
Actually, currently, Hooven is looking to make a move on one of the Hasses up the inside of turn 5. Side-by-side stuff. No contact, and you see further back, Binder currently holding up the McLaren of Swan. This is for position. Binder is yet to pit. Swan still not pitting, and will have to get past him. But Hooven is past the first Haas of Rasmussen, and he's now got to get past Kisiel.
Will he be able to? That's the main question. I reckon he's going to be doing it down this next straight, and if I was Kisiel, I would definitely be pitting as soon as possible because those tyres are not doing him any favours. And when he goes wide!
Kisiel does go very wide there, and it's going to just allow Hooveneers through. But he now won't have the DRS to defend from the double Haas behind him. Are the Hasses possibly looking to get back with the DRS?
They are, both of them. Now into turn 1, Hooveneers losing out massively to both Hasses. Rasmussen's looking for a teammate. He gets past, but Kisiel with the switchback, and it's big contact between Hooveneers and Kisiel.
Somehow no one spins, and it'll be Hooveneers losing 2 positions once again, as meanwhile further back you see Hugendorn making a move on Marquinia. So Hugendorn on their mediums really getting them fired up, but back to the battle for P4, because it's going to be Hooveneers running very wide on the exit there, not being given any space by Kisiel.
By the looks of it, it looked like Hooveneers just drove straight off the track when he could have kept his nose in on the track side by side with Kisiel, but he is having a nightmare here with the 2 Hasses just keeping him well behind Bean and Harris.
Binder is falling down the order. Meanwhile, can I take your attention to Vlad Rose, who is currently your race leader here? Still out on them hards. We're on lap 20 now. Maybe he's hoping for a safety car to get a free pit stop. It would put him right back in the mix, especially with the battling going on further back, because the battle for P4, well, it's now battle for P5. We're going to ride on board here with Hugendorn as Bean sets the fastest lap of the race.
On top of that, it looks like Skalski is going to want him to get past Marco Mangano, Hooveneers' teammate, who gets past Kisiel.
Cleanly through, and Skalski already through, and Harris now picks up a 3-second penalty.
That, like I said, Bean is having a dream race now because all he has to do is catch 3 seconds to Harris, which hopefully shouldn't be too hard on those.
Further back, Potts and Swan are getting into it. This is 4P7. Potts round the outside is now going to be boxed in though by Kisiel. Kisiel's hards are definitely falling off. Potts on the mediums, the guys around him on the hard tyres. Potts can still climb up the order here.
Yeah, he can. I'm not sure about a podium exactly, but the top 3 currently have penalties, with only net P1 and 2 having 3-second penalties. Sorry, and P3. My mistake. Yeah. All the net top 3 have penalties.
Vlad is still yet to pit. Currently, where will he be coming out? He'll be coming out right amongst the field here, as Potts gets a big snap. How did he save that? But now it'll be Swan putting the pressure on him. But he will have DRS to help defend and make an attack maybe on Kisiel here. On them medium tyres. He's flashing in the rear though. Swan right behind, maybe looking to make a move as well and follow through.
Oh! It was nearly a spin for Swan there. Those 2 getting nice and close together, with Marquina getting a 5-second penalty.
And further ahead, Hooveneers has got past Rasmussen. But Rasmussen with the DRS maybe looking to make a move back through. No doing so. Now Potts is on the hunt of these guys ahead. And look at this train forming. It goes all the way down to P11. So from P4 to P11 we have a train. Some of the drivers still yet to pit though.
Yeah, Rasmussen and Kisiel doing fantastically on those 21 lap old hards. I'm not sure how they haven't spun or had a puncture or anything like that yet.
And we're going to go back to
one round the outside of Kisiel. He's sneaking past What a move from Swan there.
And now Kizyul's hards may be starting to feel it, because it seems like Rasmussen is doing better on these used hards compared to the teammate of Kizyul. But Rasmussen gets a bit of a snap, and it's going to be Potts through on Rasmussen up into P5 for Potts, and Huveniers on the hards has a 3-second penalty.
May I also add, just behind Skalski is mightily close to Kizyul. He's got ERS, he's got DRS.
Rasmussen up the inside of turn 1 though of Potts. Running
and
wide.
Through goes Skalski. Not quite, but almost.
Oh, he's got the inside with Swan. Swan covers him off.
Very close. But he is going to have DRS down into this hairpin. But Swan utilising the more ERS that he had, with Kizyul just dropping off the back of them.
Kizyul's having to defend from Vattenberg, and Marco Mangano is still there as well. There's going to be a lovely race on here, as meanwhile we pay attention to the gap. The leaders are starting to, the gap's starting to close in on one another, and they're both starting to catch up to the back of Vlad Rosu here. Vlad going for a risky strategy.
There are only 4 drivers who haven't pitted yet, and that is Ule, Kizyul, Rasmussen, and Vlad, who Vlad pits. He's into the pits.
What tyre does he choose though? Is it going to be the soft compound? Can he do 10 laps on them softs? It's a big ask, as Alex Harris will be your race leader, but Bean is only a second behind.
Yeah, and just behind Skalski is all over the back of Swan.
Pits.
And he's looking up the inside into turn 1. Skalski up to P6 from that previous incident, and he's passed. He's going to be looking.
He's coming out of the pits now. Will come out in P10. What tyre is Rosu on though? Is the important question. He's going to try and do 10 laps on them softs. It's a big risk.
Rasmussen is also on those soft. They're going to be looking to get fastest laps maybe, and just try and
under pressure here from
Vandenberg, and they are side by side.
Both on the hard, but Kizyul really doing an extended stint.
Oh! Bit of contact there between Vandenberg and Kizyul. Kizyul just struggling so much with those tyres. You can see the difference in grip between the McLaren and the Haas. If I was the McLaren, I'd be looking around the outside, the same move that my teammate did, but not quite managing to get it done. He can't brake late enough.
He did eye it up though, just wasn't able to do anything though.
That is correct, with Vandenberg all over the back of Kizyul. He looks on the inside. Kizyul using the same tactic that he used with, who was it? I believe it was Marco Mangano.
No, it was Huveniers.
Huveniers, just letting him pass before the DRS. He's staying out another lap. Those hards are 24 laps old. How's he doing this?
And Marco Mangano gets past Marco up the inside.
Kizyul doing well to hang it around the outside, but Marco still side by side. Kizyul with a 3-second penalty now. And Rosu all over the back of them on the softs.
Rosu's going to have them tyres fired up now already.
He's already passed Vandenberg. He's passed Kizyul. When will he get past Marco Mangano? That's the real question.
That is for position. That'll be for 7th place. As meanwhile, he's only moving.
Ule and Binder are side by side into turn 4, I believe that is. Ule just
3, and now turn 4. Binder with the new mediums. Ule with the DRS and the older hards. Looking to go around the outside of turn 5. Binder with a much better line, but he spins. He catches it, but he will lose that position. And meanwhile, the battle for P3 is heating up, because Huveniers on them hards with that 3-second penalty as Potts and Skalski right behind him.
Don't forget, Huveniers has that 3-second penalty, so he's going to struggle to keep that podium. Right now, it is Potts in that podium place, with Skalski just behind, who has been on a charge. If he is able to get a podium here, I will be so impressed with the Alfa Romeo driver.
Elsam, I am drinking. Don't you dare worry. I'm drinking Coke.
Kizyul's still on those hards. 25 laps he is done on these, and he's only just behind Vandenberg. He's dropped down to P10. I don't know what strategy he's on, but it doesn't seem to be working at the moment.
Maybe he's staying out later because he's expecting the softs to not last 10 laps.
Possibly, but meanwhile, Soybean is only 1.3 seconds behind Alex Harris with how many laps to go? 7 laps to go.
Harris is going to have to put on a big defense, but how long will them mediums last? Soybean is currently at 33% wear on the fronts.
And that's Ule. He spun.
Ule spun.
I can't
Turn
see any
4.
damage at the moment.
I can't see damage. No damage by the looks of it, but he's not having a good race here today.
He's not, but Skowski all over the back of Potts already. His pace is shockingly quick.
And
he's got the DRS.
They'll both have it.
They both have no ERS at the same time.
Ooh, he thinks about it, but he isn't able to do so. And it will be Potts holding off Skowski for another lap. But I believe Skowski pitted later as well. No, they pitted at the same time, so Potts is just pushing them tyres to the limit, and Skowski definitely able to fire them up more. But the battle for P1 and 2 as Bean now is starting to close in on the back of Harris.
He's only 1.2 seconds behind now. I don't think he's going to quite have DRS on this lap unless he really, really pushes in these final couple corners. But Harris has more ERS than Bean. But Bean, just outside of DRS, is he going to get it? It doesn't look like he is. The gap staying at 1.1. He's not going to have DRS. Meanwhile, Hugendorn gets past Kiziel, who's on 26 lap old tyres, and he's still side by side with Hugendorn.
Oh my god, they're still battling. But Hugendorn should get the better drive out here with the fresher, softer compound. And it will be Hugendorn up into P10. Kiziel drops down to P11. And surely Kiziel was going to be pitting now.
And Skowski's past Potts!
Oh!
Into turn 1! Potts just can't battle him back. He doesn't have the means. He does not have the pace to keep Skowski at bay. He's gone from the very back of the field all the way up to P4, net P3.
So this is monumental for Skowski, who will definitely not want to talk about the start of this race, but his drive back through this race has been insane.
Meanwhile, Bean's within DRS and he nearly spun.
You cut out for a second there, and there's a back marker of McWilliams that the two leaders are coming up to as well.
Looks like Harris is going to have DRS from McWilliams, and Bean gets DRS. Bean gets DRS. He's within the DRS down this next straight. Close in a couple
yes, they get here! Sorry, it's 3-2 to the Arsenal. But here we have Bean, 5 laps to go, closing in to the back of Harris. Will he be able to make the move? And will he be able to not get another 3-second penalty?
I'm not too sure, but he's only 5/10 behind now. He's going to have DRS here as well, gaining back all the time that he lost going through that corner. But will McWilliams have to move out for the next straight? I'm not sure he will.
Will he be able to get will Harris be able to get the DRS to defend for at least 1 lap?
Possibly, I'm not too sure. Meanwhile, Fantenberg is just behind Marco Mangano, and that's a yellow flag for Ule, I believe.
And McWilliams has let both the leaders through already, so Harris will not have DRS from McWilliams.
He will not, and he's lost a lot of ERS trying to defend Bean. So he's down to 20%, whereas Bean is up to 11%. It's very, very close. It could go either way.
Harris
both
is
with
tired.
3-second penalties.
Harris currently on about 35% wear, whereas Bean currently running on 40 to 50% wear. But Bean on the mediums may be able to make the move here. But how long will his tyres be before they're the slower tyre now is the next question.
I'm not too sure, and Harris goes wide!
And Bean up the inside on turn 2. Bean is now leading this race. Harris has now got to make the move back out on the track.
He's going to find it very, very difficult. down into this hairpin. He's not using any ERS. Well, meanwhile, McWilliams gets a penalty. And Skalski's past Hooven. He's up into P3.
He didn't even need to do that. Hooven with a 3-second penalty, but Skalski doing it on the track.
Harris only 4/10 behind Bean, but Bean already starting to pull a bit of a gap to Harris. Don't forget though, Harris does have more ERS.
Hooven picks up another 3-second, and Rosu now falls within the catchment window as well. On them softs, Rosu is starting to fly.
He's made a very, very good strategy call going on those. But meanwhile, Harris is only just behind Bean, and Harris has more ERS. And he's going to have DRS down this long pit straight.
Let's see, is he able to catch up to Bean on this straight though? Because Bean has definitely had the higher top speed car.
He's weaving, he's trying to break the toe. But Harris gaining on Bean on the inside into turn 1. He makes a send, but he just thinks better of it. He backs out with Bean just gaining a bit.
Oh,
and there's contact!
Bean was very slow through that corner, but there is contact between the pair of them. Harris got damage as well.
If Harris drops off detrimentally, Skalski may or may not be able to get a podium. I don't think so. He is behind. He's about 11.5 seconds behind. 11 seconds now.
But Harris is missing an end plate here. Around Portimão, this is not a track you want to be missing an end plate. And
not at all.
Whose fault was that as well? Because Bean was very slow through that corner.
Looking at it, it just looked like Harris kind of went for a send that was never realistic. And there's a common understanding in racing. The overtaking car has to make the move safely.
Oh, and Matthews has had a moment.
Not a good day for the Mercedes so far.
Potts' tyres. Chat is asking for how is Potts' tyres doing. And Potts' tyres are screaming 50% on the rears.
Oh dear. I don't know what's happened to his setup, but it's not very good.
And
it's just looking to get past Hooven now. He's got the DRS.
He does. He doesn't need to do it on the track though.
He does not. But it looks like
Marquinhos is on the rear of Binder as well. His tyres definitely doing a lot better. We know that one person in Fattenberg definitely doesn't have his telemetry on though, as his tyres, we don't know how worn them hards are. And Arsenal win 3-2. But the Alpha is gaining on Harris. Is he going to gain enough with 2 laps to go?
It doesn't look like it. And Kiziel is finally into the pits. 31 laps on those hard tyres. I don't know how he's done that.
Lunatic.
He's a madman.
He is indeed.
Amethyst is not far behind Kiziel. He's gonna have the DRS, I think. Kiziel just lets him
gonna get in front.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the race for the lead is kind of simmered out due to the contact that we saw, causing damage on one of the drivers. So it will be...
That's Monk! Drunky Monkey! Once again! Drunky Monkey is spun, and that is the front runners closing in on him. Will he hinder Bean in any way here? No, he gets out the way. And he comes back onto the circuit just ahead of Harris.
And he comes actually, lets him through. And he will now be racing McWilliams here for P18. And in fact, McWilliams goes ahead. As meanwhile, it's actually, the battle is going to be for P8 though. Because Fattenberg has...
McWilliams almost... sorry, not McWilliams. Drunky Monkey has spun again! What is he doing?
He has returned.
And it is the final lap. And it looks like it's going to be
It's not the final lap. This is lap 32 or 33.
It says on my screen lap 33 or 33.
Is it? Oh, it is. Ignore me. It was Monk is on lap 32 or 33.
Yeah, it is lap 33. And it looks like it's going to be Bean that crosses... That is going to cross the line to win.
But Bean definitely lost a lot of pace in these final few laps.
Lifting and coasting. Will he run out of fuel before the line? No, he
It's hard
won't.
to tell. He won't. And Soybean will be your race leader. Harris comes home P2. Skalski will be bringing it home in P3.
What a
recovery.
drive from Skalski.
P4 for Hooverneers, but with the time penalties, Potts will go ahead. Rosu will go ahead, but Rosu with a 3 second means Swan is ahead. Swan P5, Rosu P6, Hooverneers P7. Vattenberg will lose out on penalties to Mangano. So Mangano P8, Vattenberg P9, P10 for Hugendorm rounding out the points. Then it will be Rasmussen coming home in P11.
Is that Drunky Monkey again?
That does look like Junkie Monkey.
What's he doing?
I don't know what he is doing.
He's had one too many whiskies. I think he needs to chill out a bit.
Yes, definitely. As there we have Drunky Monkey coming across the line. And the last car to finish is Kiziel. P15 for Kiziel.
What a race. Hats off to Skalski. What a recovery from him. Fantastic drive to get P3.
Very, very big race there. But here you have your results. It's Joe Bean first, Harris second, Skalski third, Potts fourth, Swan fifth, Rosu sixth, Hooverneers seventh, Marco eighth. And here we have Bean coming over to take the top step today. What a race. I am out of breath.
That was a hell of a race. I'm very, very happy for Bean.
Bean P1, Harris P2, P3 and recovery drive for Skalski. Action from start to finish.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy for Bean. He missed out in Imola, but he's come back and he's won it here in Portimão.
Oh, and there we have the results for today's race. What a fantastic session of racing we've had today, and we get to run it all again on Wednesday. But we're not over just yet, as we're going to get ready to do the interviews. Going to give it a little bit more time for some of the other drivers to maybe want to take place here in the I lost train of thought there. I'm a bit stupid. Oh, I've got a couple more hydrates to do. As we see, Soybean is here, so we're going to invite him up. Bean P1 was a strategy race, and the strategy went your way.
Yeah, it did. I was a bit unsure about it, but you know, I let the top two go at the start, and I just stuck with them pretty much. And then onto the mediums, I knew I had to catch, but I wasn't catching at the start, and then I had to risk it a little bit, so I did, and it ended up working out. And lucky that Harris got a penalty as well as me. So yeah, there was a bit of a tap near the end, but that pretty much helped me get out of DRS. So. And then on the last lap, I was like 0.2 down on fuel, so I had to lift for the entire lap pretty much, but I ended up making it. So yeah, pretty happy. And the top two in the championship didn't get points, so that's good for me as well.
And
I think.
Pulls you right back into contention then. 2 solid results since signing for AlphaTauri. You must be happy with it.
Yeah, very happy. And yeah, just looking to catch back up to the front, to be honest.
And Monaco next week. How do you feel about Monaco?
To be fair, if you drive the track well, it's really satisfying. But it's going to be all about qualifying pretty much, and just no ghosting as well. So it's just whoever survives has a pretty decent chance, and we all just have to get through it pretty much. So, but yeah, looking forward to it. To be honest, might be fun, but a lot of people are going to rage as well, which might be funny. So, yeah.
So be prepared for safety cars, I'm guessing, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but hopefully that we actually have a bit of a race as well. I don't want to just spend the whole time on the safety car. So.
Do you want to talk us through your race as well, though? Because your sprint race as well, you were rapid in qualifying. You would have been top 6 in a tier 1 with that time you set today.
Yeah, I think I have to give it a little bit to my teammate as well, because he did give me a tow on the second lap. But yeah, first lap was pretty good. Second lap, I almost nailed everything. So yeah, it was a pretty lucky lap, to be honest. Like, I don't think I practiced for like half an hour before the race, and I didn't really get that kind of time. So I think I got lucky with that one. But yeah, so that was good. And then the sprint, I kind of just had to keep my gap and keep Harris behind pretty much near the end. But in the sprint, I wasn't really pushing that much because I had to keep it safe. And I didn't really do a race around Portimão, so I didn't know how the tyres were like. But it ended up working out, so yeah, not too bad.
And yeah, is there anything else you would like to add before we go down to P2?
I think near the end of qualifying, I was out on my last run, and then I realized that I wasn't going to make it to the line, so I was just getting out the way of people. And then the timer ended, and obviously the game's a bit dumb, so the AI took control of my car without me being able to do anything about it, and he drove straight in front of Monk, I think it was. So, you know, I'm pretty sorry to him about that, but I don't really know what I could have done in that situation. But I mean, it is what it is. I might get a penalty for it because apparently it's my responsibility of what the AI does. But you know, I'm happy that I had good pace. So if I do end up not winning, then I don't really mind too much.
Well, thank you very much for joining us up here today, and congratulations on your P1.
Yeah, thanks. See you next week.
See you next week. With P2 in Alex Harris. P2 Harris.
Yo.
Was looking very rapid on the alternate strategy today.
I was going to go opposite to him, whatever he went. Soybean. I was going to go soft if he went mediums. I was just waiting to get ahead and see what I could do from there. I made a few little mistakes that didn't turn into full spinalas, but little spinalas that probably cost me the win. But I'll take 2 P2s.
Solid points for yourself today.
Oh, just if Bean's still here, he won't get. The penalties from qualifying won't affect this race. You'll still get the win for this.
Yeah.
But I do. It did ruin my lap as well, my last lap. So.
The AI.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to suggest in that case. I don't know whether the AI need. I don't know whether the AI need to be higher so that doesn't happen, because he literally just parked himself on the line for me and like ruined my lap completely.
But so, overall, though, still a solid result for yourself today. The getaway you got on Skowski as well in the sprint.
Yeah, they seem to get a bit of a slow start, the pair of them. And then I just saw Hooven was right behind me, asking to turn true, I think. And I was like, oh, hello.
And Monaco next week, how do you feel about that?
Again, I think it's all down to quality and then just try and keep it safe.
Will you be racing it?
Depends if I can be asked.
Understandable.
No, yeah, I'll race it, but I'll probably bin it into a wall, let's face it.
Anything else though that you would like to add? Because you saw that coming together towards the end.
Yeah, like, I just... He took it a little bit slower than I expected. I tapped him a little bit. and then we did a double tap, and then I just waited for him to go, so there wouldn't be any penalties or anything like that. So at that point, it was done. Although if that hadn't have happened, by the sound of it, I would have won from him having to lift save on the last lap, which is a bit disappointing.
But all in all, a very good result for yourself today, putting yourself right back up there in the points today.
It was needed. Obviously, last race was unfortunate with the binning it 2 laps from the end, but that was quite nice. I quite enjoyed that actually. My left hand's killing though. That track is not nice on controller.
And is there anything else you'd like to add today before we go down to P3?
Just that I enjoyed your screams on stream when Arsenal scored. They made me laugh throughout the race.
I was very happy about the football.
And actually, Alex, why wasn't it a good day for Merck? Say hello.
Well,
Say hello.
I was gonna. Reason being.
Say we don't like Max Housley. No.
Well,
Okay, we tried.
We don't like Max Housley, to be fair. So, the reason I said that was because Matthew's having a spin or so, and then pretty much the same lap, you got a bit of damage with collision with Bean.
But still, 2P2s is good, now is it not?
I mean, yeah, it's pretty decent.
I mean, not everybody can finish. Where did you finish? P4.
Moving on.
It's alright, I'm looking forward to Wednesday where Luke finds himself at the back again and ends up P4.
Yeah, probably.
And Kosev, Matthews will not get fired from Mercedes. Ever.
Well, anything else you'd like to add though before we go to Skalski for P3?
From what I've heard from streams, Skalski had an absolute blinder of a drive. And it was actually, I had to check where he was when, obviously, me and Bean had the incident. But apparently it was absolutely unreal from Skalski, so I look forward to watching the race back.
Thank you very much today, Mr. Harris, and we look forward to seeing you next week, hopefully.
No worries, boys. Have a good one.
Let's see, will Skalski join us now? Skalski.
I will. Hello.
P3 today, an absolute mad recovery after an awful first lap for you. Saw you down all the way in P14.
Yeah, that was absolutely the most intense race I've ever had. Oh my god. What can I say? The sprint, yeah, I could have had more confidence. Fell down a bit, but got to recover to P4. But the race itself, yeah, the lap 2 incident. I mean, I wasn't even that bad, I think. It was only the beginning of the race, so I knew I can do something with it and recover at least 2 points. But absolutely, I had no idea that I was going to end up on the podium.
And you made an absolute recovery. Saw your hunting ground into turn 1 on that straight. You was very, very fast. Definitely had the pace there.
Yeah, what made me possible to do so was, of course, the setup. Yeah, I mean, before the race, I was kind of worried because I set a lap on this setup on time trial, and I thought, oh my god, I think someone's gonna steal my setup or something. But fortunately, no one did, and yeah, that's the yeah. I'm very happy with the result, nevertheless.
Next week is the tricky streets of Monaco. How are you feeling for it?
Very tricky streets of Monaco.
Are you going to be able to keep it away from the walls? We've heard they're magnetic.
For sure they are. You never know when the magnets are gonna work for you. I mean, we'll see. This week will be a very, very sweaty week. Yeah, I don't really like driving on Monaco. I tend to be so much inconsistent. So yeah, it will be hard for me to bring a good result, but we'll see. Everything can happen.
And anything else you'd like to say though before we go down to the? Got time for one more, and we're gonna go down to Will Swan. Anything else you'd like to add?
Uh, I would like to say that my teammates should be with me here.
Oh,
He
okay.
should have gotten not like I mean, if you want to, you can bring him here. But yeah,
I
he
will
should
not.
be
I will not
higher.
give full interview because we don't have time, as you said. Just wanna say that, come on, mate, don't cry over the spilled milk. As I said, that's racing. It's actually the replay of season 4 where it's the same story. I did good in season 5. You did well in season 4. I had bad luck then. I had bad luck now. That's all. But yeah, happy with fastest lap. Happy with how I raced on 15 lap older tires with guys and kept up with them. Actually did some overtakes. So yeah. Thanks, mate.
No
And
problem.
thanks to you guys for being with the viewers today.
Well, thank you. So, anything else you'd like to add? You was gonna say that your teammates should have been finishing up there with you.
Yeah, I think he deserves a better result today. He was just unlucky. And as he said, it's just a race. Everything can happen.
Well, congratulations on your brilliant recovery from P14 up to P3.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you next week where we can hopefully see a lot of you guys keep it out of the walls.
I hope so too.
Okay, so we're going to bring up...
Hello,
Hello,
Luke.
Mr. Will Swan.
I need to say something.
What is it you need to say?
I think I might be leading the championship.
It might be. We have to be... I have to give it a check. I'll have to put all the numbers in as soon as we're done with this interview. And I will post how it's looking in the notices.
Good. Wow.
Oh, that was a voice crack.
Yeah, shut up. Right, anyways.
Talk us through your race. It seemed like your qualifying was rubbish, but you were consistent on the track.
Well, I'm not having that. You can't be calling it rubbish. I still got like top 10, you cheeky sod, right? But, yeah, nah, it wasn't great. I cocked up my last lap in qualifying. Like literally in sector 3, so that's no good. But in the sprint race, anyways, it was. I think I got a good start on the cars ahead, and then I think I just had Rosu behind. I was just keeping ahead of Rosu. Both of us had DRS, so it was hard to make a move on anyone. So just sort of massive train in the sprint race, and then in the actual race, me and Vandenberg had a pretty good like partnership. We were just trading DRS pretty much every lap. It was looking good until yeah, we took an L. I thought he was going to make a move up the inside, and he was going to like go ahead so I could get the DRS on the next straight. So I slowed right down. He did not go up the inside, and we basically nearly crashed. Lost a lot of time. Not good, but I'm still happy that I got like a top 5 finish again. It's 3 top 5s, Luke. You're loving that. It's just like you.
Yeah, you're a top 5 merchant, just like me. And yeah, you survived the chaos, kept it clean, and Monaco next week.
Yeah, balls. That's one word to describe it. It's
Not looking forward to it.
no,
It's a
not
go
even in the
track.
slightest. What?
It's a go-to track.
Yeah, to go to track to watch one car do a fast lap, and then you try and stick 20 on it, and people just kill themselves.
I'm not looking forward to it, but...
Yeah, you've got TR3 to deal with, so have fun.
Oh.
I enjoy commentating that one. That'll be good.
You've got Portimão to commentate first.
Yep, I'm gonna
Nice.
enjoy that.
It is a sprint race as well.
Gonna have to get loads of water so I don't have another voice crack.
Anything else though you'd like to add before we end the stream here today?
I mean, not really. No, I mean the guys at the front, obviously, they're just like soybeans, untouchable at the front, pretty much. And I know Harris is pretty close to him as well. I think. I mean, I don't really know because I wasn't really near them all race, but yeah, it was good from them both, and like not many people can get near the people at the front, so big gap.
But all in all, a very good result for you today, and congratulations on P5.
Thanks, Luke. Toodle pip, mate.
Goodbye. Well, on that note, that is the end of Tier 2 Portimão. Get ready for tune back in on Wednesday as the Tier 3 guys, including myself, had to go around that track. But that has been it from me, Martin. I've been joined today by
Your boy Alex Fox Johnson.
and we'll see you on Wednesday. Goodbye.
It's been a while now, it seems like ages. I'm sitting here building cages. Where are you now? And how can I find you? It hasn't been the same without you. It's behind me now. It's behind me now. It's beyond me now. It's behind me now. No absolution, a drop of confusion. I was looking for a new solution to forget you now and move on with my life. I haven't had a sleep since that night, so show me how to forget.